distribution through the city of Houston and the surrounding areas. Geoff from the Red Cross National Capital Region Headquarters, that's a mouthful, joins us today to tell us how you can prepare for a hurricane if one is to strike. Welcome, Geoff. How are you?
Great to be here. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. So tell us, what are some of the things that people need to have on hand in preparation? Because, you know, as Eileen can forecast a hurricane or a disaster that's coming, we know about this a couple weeks in advance, so you should start thinking ahead of time, right?
You betcha. The first thing I want to tell people is to do three things. I want you to get a kit, I want you to make a plan, and I want you to be informed. And I brought some of our items from the kit here to talk about. So.
Perfect. Oh, no, I was just going to say, because I feel like people hear that all the time. They're like, have your emergency, your hurricane preparedness kit. And people go, okay, well, what exactly? Is it like just a regular kit that I can buy, or do I have to buy all the ingredients?
Absolutely. So you can go on redcross.org, you can buy a pre-made kit. There's other areas on the internet where you can find lists and other things. I wanted to bring a couple things just that are very important that are a little bit different than what you would think about. First and foremost, we have this NOAA radio. This can give you updates for officials and other weather-related patterns and what's happening. It's got a handy-dandy crank, so you don't need to have electricity. The other thing we really encourage people to do is have flashlights here, right? And they need to work. So we need to make sure you have batteries. We really encourage people not to have candles because candles can burn your house down, and that's the last thing we want in a disaster. The other thing I want to tell people is talk to your doctor. If you have critical meds, make sure that you have extra meds on hand prior to a disaster, because you don't know when those are going to be able to be available.
So how many days, weeks, should you plan for something like that? Do you think a 2-week, for the medication, 2 weeks in advance? Or?
I think every disaster is different. When we're talking about a hurricane, we are talking about weeks and in sometimes months. So in terms of planning for the long term, also make sure you have your documentation either with you or scanned on the cloud or somewhere else in another place, so that you can get your prescriptions easily, you can get your other documentations, because if you're fleeing your home because of flooding, they might be destroyed, you might have to get them, and the last thing you want to do is go and stand in the DMV line to get other documentation.
Geoff, let me ask you this before you move on. For these particular items, I don't want them to get wet. What do you suggest that we put these items in to keep them dry?
So depending on the situation, depending on where you're at, we want to keep these things accessible. So don't put these in the back of the attic around. You have to keep them fresh. So we also recommend updating them every 6 months or so to make sure nothing expires in here. I keep mine in sealed tight plastic tubs. You can use very large Ziploc bags as well. Again, flooding is one of the biggest issues that we have, and you want to make sure you're prepared.
Gotcha. All right, so moving on, looks like we've got some food here.
So food, again, you don't know where your next meal is going to come from. In fact, one of the major things that the Red Cross is doing is feeding people. We're very good at feeding a large number of people. We do it with some amazing partners like the Southern Baptist Organization. So really, we want to make sure you can handle yourself for a little bit. So prepare a food that is not going to go bad for at least a day or two, if not more, just to kind of get you through. The last thing I want you to do is have freeze-dried Brussels sprouts, right? Because you're not going to eat them. So grab something that you're at least going to eat. Think about babies. If you have babies and formula, and make sure you have that. And also think about your pets, right? Your pets are part of your family. They need to come with you. Make sure that they have food as well.
What do you suggest people do? Because this is something we were talking about during the commercial break. Some of the shelters don't allow pets. I can tell you right now, I'm not going without my dog.
Absolutely. So definitely go to redcross.org, and I have all of our list of shelters right here. Can we get a shot of that?
Oh, is that the app?
Yeah, so this is our free emergency app. This has every shelter that's here right there. You can zoom in, you can see all the details for each one of the shelters. Right now we have over 150 shelters.
Can you put that up one more time?
Sure, I absolutely can.
And so that includes shelters that will allow pets.
So this will let you know if there are shelters. We do have shelters that allow pets. Some shelters don't, because we have a lot of people in there. There's a lot of different sensitivities. So again, part of what we do is check in with the officials, check in online. We definitely have that information. This is updated in real time. It's live.
Okay. All right. So make sure that you get that. Right. And then moving on, we've got a backpack here. Talk to us about this.
So the other piece of this is you want to be mobile, right? So you want to make sure you have stuff that you can go quick in case something is happening. We also recommend having a kit in your workplace of work or in your car, just to make sure that wherever you're at, wherever you have an issue, you're able to move. And then the last thing that I would say on this part of it is make a plan and be informed, right? sit down with your family, with your friends, have a plan, talk about it when you're not in crisis mode. Make sure you know, what are your contact points? Where are you going to be? Where are you going to meet up? What is your school's policy for picking up your kids? Every school can be different, every school system is different. And then the last thing is be informed, right? Listen, listen, listen. In the event of a large emergency like this, the information changes minute to minute to minute. So make sure that you're out there listening to things like News Channel 8 or ABC, right?
Yeah.
They're going to tell you what to do and what the officials are telling and giving that information.
Is there something we can do with our vehicles prior to the storm actually hitting? And like, is there something you suggest that we do?
Move them. Yes. I think from my standpoint and what I tell my friends and family, really it's about getting into a place that's safe. If you see that spaghetti model coming anywhere near you, make sure that you are taking that action. You don't have to wait for emergency officials to tell you to get out, right? You can make that case yourself, and if you really see that coming in, talk to us, call the Red Cross, call other officials, talk to them as well, but really, just go.
Yeah, and some great information as we near peak hurricane season. We're currently Stormwatch 7 tracking what will likely become Hurricane Irma. Still way too early to determine whether or not it will affect the United States, but now is the time. Take these tips and make sure that you get your kit ready. Great information, Geoff. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah,
Really
thanks,
appreciate
Geoff.
it.
We appreciate it. All right, stay with us. We have more of Let's Talk Live coming up right after the break.